And today I'm going to be demonstrating how to use a drop spindle. So all you'll need for this project is a drop spindle and some wool. And if you are interested in purchasing that, I do sell drop spindle and wool kits on my website, spindlesoftime.com. Your wool ready to spin. First, you're not going to want a huge clump, so you're going to take the wool and pull it apart. And it'll sort of naturally split, and you'll have probably somewhere around 6 to 8 inches of wool. So then you're going to do what's called pre-drafting, which is the process of sort of loosening your wool. So I'm just going to sort of pull it apart sideways, and then also pull it apart long ways. And you don't want to get it to the point where it breaks. It's no big deal if it does, but you're just wanting to loosen it so you're not having to deal with a huge clump of wool while you're spinning. So I'm just going to lightly pull that apart. And this is about what you want it to look like. You can see there's a little bit more air in amongst the fiber now. So to put the wool on the drop spindle, what we're going to do is we're going to take a small piece from the tip of the wool, and we're going to sort of pull it out even more thinly. So you have just that really thin piece of wool. And now we're going to take the hook of the drop spindle and we're going to hook the wool over the drop spindle, through the hook. So then when you pinch, it makes sort of a loop, and you're wanting to pinch at the top of that loop. So it's holding your drop spindle. So now to begin spinning, you have your loop and you're pinching with your dominant hand. And now you're going to give it a twist. And you're always going to want to spin clockwise. So with my non-dominant hand, I'm going to take the bottom of the spindle and give it a spin. And you can see the twist travels up to meet your fingers. You'll feel it getting tight next to your fingers. And when you start feeling that, then you put the drop spindle between your knees. And you're going to switch which hand you're pinching with. So I was pinching with my right hand. Now I'm going to switch and pinch with my left. And I'm going to take my right hand and just pull lightly on the fibers. And I'm going to let my left hand travel up. You can see how the twist travels up the yarn with it. And now I'm just going to give it another spin. Spin it clockwise. When I feel it getting tight next to my fingers, I'm going to park and pull. So this is called the park and draft method, because I'm parking my drop spindle and then I'm using my hands to pull the wool or draft the wool. Alright, so now you've repeated the park and draft method a few times, so you're ready. Your string's getting a little bit long, so you're ready to wind your yarn onto the drop spindle. So you can get a little longer than this, but it's just when your arm starts getting uncomfortable, you're going to be ready to wind. So I'm just going to slip the yarn off the drop spindle, and I'm going to keep it tight. So that's keeping your tension on your yarn. And I'm going to wrap it around the base of the drop spindle. So I have to hold my thumb in place to hold that end on the drop spindle. Then I'm just going to wrap. And I'm going to leave a couple inches of yarn that I've already spun on top of the drop spindle. So I just thread it up through the hook, wrap it around the hook a few times, and have a few inches of yarn left to start working with. So that I'm going to just start spinning again. So I'm going to give it a twist, park, and pull. Let the twist travel. So now that you've gotten pretty good at the park and draft method, then you can start trying the rolling method. So for this method, since you always want to spin clockwise, I'm still gonna pinch at the top, but I'm going to give it, instead of twisting it from the bottom, I'm going to give it a roll along my leg. So I'm going to lay it flat along my leg with the shaft touching my leg, and And I'm just going to take my hand and give it a roll downwards. And you'll want to make sure that you're rolling it in such a way that it's spinning it clockwise. Now instead of parking it, if you're getting pretty confident with it, you can start drafting at the same time it's spinning. And so I'm just giving it a spin. I'm still pinching and pulling. I'm just letting it spin at the same time. That's all there is to it. So now I'm going to talk about some things to troubleshoot if you're having problems. And I will say this skill takes a little bit of time to master, so you probably will have problems at the beginning. So one of the things is, what if your wool breaks? So wool is a really interesting material in that it sort of connects to itself. So my wool has broken here. And so what I'm going to do is I'm just going to take my other piece of wool and I'm going to overlap it. And I'm going to start spinning again. And because I've overlapped it and wool sticks to itself, I can just add it back into my spinning and it shouldn't make a difference. So another thing you're going to probably need to troubleshoot is something called overspinning. So that's what happens when you get so much twist in your yarn that it just starts crumbling on itself. And you'll see it's sort of spiraling in my yarn. And that is what happens when you start, if you take your finger in your hair and start twisting it, twisting it, twisting it, twisting it. You twist it until it's curling back up on itself. So that's called over twisting. And so what I would do if this happens is, no matter which way you're spinning, I would park it, and you're just going to want to draft out farther and farther. And sometimes you have to draft out a good ways before you get rid of all that overspinning. But what you're doing is you're just letting the twist travel farther up into the fiber. And so that should solve your over twist problem. To troubleshoot is if your wool is getting really thick and hard to pull. And so what often is happening when that's the case is that you're letting your twist travel into your wool before you're actually ready for it that time. So a great way to prevent that is the pre-drafting, which I was talking about, where you pull the wool out beforehand. But another thing that can help you fix that is to let your hands come farther apart. So when you're spinning, instead of pulling from just a few inches away, you pull from more like 6 to 8 inches away. And so that'll help you loosen up your fibers. Another thing that can help with this is when I spin, I often spin in almost a fan shape. So I fan my fibers out, and that helps me keep my fibers from getting too clogged, like too many fibers being spun at once. Watching. I hope you enjoy using your drop spindle. If you have any questions or comments about this video or how to use your drop spindle, please